Well, welcome along to our Workplace Innovation Expert Series. I'm Peter Ely, head up the Modern Workplace at Bytes, and all of these presentations today have a different subject that we're going to look to open up a discussion about in each episode with a different guest speaker. So this presentation is all about appCURE, and we're delighted to be able to invite along Steve Horn. Would you just like to introduce yourself, Steve?
Yeah, hi everybody. Steve Horn. I'm the CEO of appCURE. I've worked in the end-user compute arena for probably over 25 years, very, very long time. And hopefully I'll have something that you find interesting today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Steve. Shame we can't be in person. I think we're all kind of getting used to these kind of events where they are remote and online. The best thing is that we can choose our backgrounds. So we've been having fun doing that today. And because Steve is by the beach, I'm going to be by the beach as well. So we're in good company. Let's put a positive spin on this straight away. Welcome along to the Bytes Workplace Innovation event, Steve. I suppose a good start would be, for anyone that doesn't know, what is appCURE?
Okay, so appCURE is a solution to what we call industrialize application migration and management. So in essence, what we try to do is move out of support operating system applications to in support operating systems. So I suppose the one thing that we're finding is that, you know, there's a whole lot of out of support or getting older OSs out there, from servers to desktops. You've probably seen this as well, Peter. And what we want to do is try and help people move them quickly. And industrialization is very important around this. We only try and use standard Microsoft formats, so we don't try and, let's say, wrap the application in anything that would lock somebody in. So we want to make it as flexible as possible, and we're basically an administration tool. In essence, the admins would use us, but the end users would get the benefit of what we're actually doing. And I think that's what we're trying to do across any platform, across all of the let's say the virtualization platforms, you know, the VMwares, the Citrix, the Microsofts, and what we're trying to do is make it easier for people to get to that production state.
Okay, so it's a good summary of what appCURE really can do, what its technology is really trying to achieve. But I suppose the question is, why do we need it? You know, why has this got such a relevancy right now? What is it that you are seeing in the market, and what is it you're seeing with your customers specifically that really makes this such a relevant technology to consider?
Okay, so I've got a slide that I can show you on this one. So so basically what we're finding is that there's a whole load of people that are on XP Server 2003, you know, and they want to move to it could be XP, Windows 7, Windows 8, you know, there's a whole load of people that are worried about where they are today, and they know they need to move to Windows 10, Windows 11, Server 2019, Server 2022. And the problem is it's the application being able to work on the new operating systems. So they're being told they have to move for things like Cyber Essentials, they've got to move for compliance, they've got to move for security, and the problem is they can't do this. So what we're also seeing is the speed of how you can now do things in our cloud world. So even if I said to you, if I went to Bytes and I said to Bytes, I want to buy X number of cloud-based desktops, and the question is how many. It's not the question today of how long. So what we're talking about here is the workspace gets delivered very, very quickly. The problem then we have is there's a disparity between the cloud delivered workspace based on whatever vendor you know, it's just a platform for a delivery target. Yeah, so the applications then get delivered at a pace which is based on time and materials based on 1990s thinking. It's older thinking. So, and then what happens is a project that could have been done within 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, all of a sudden becomes 2 years and 3 years. So what we've got to do is try and industrialize the piece that needs to be delivered. So what we're trying to do is actually removing that barrier to actually production. It's not a barrier to adoption, it's a barrier to production. So the barrier to production is needs to be get the applications done and reduce the gap between the cloud delivered workspace delivery and the applications that need to be put on top. So what we're finding is that people are being told, you know, they've got like we're doing a project at the moment, it's 350 apps, it's 10,500 users. We've quoted somebody 35 days, and then they've said to us, well, when can we go to production? And we said probably 36 days, depending on UAT. You know, there's a whole, you know, we can get them to a point, but we don't know how every application works in there for them. So they need to still test, they need to still manage how the application, does it work, does it print, does it do all the bits that it needs to do? And then on the 36th day, they could go live. So what this does is actually reduces that gap. What it also does is 3 things. So what we need to do is be looking at how we increase that user experience. So how can we go to a user, we're going to move you to a new platform and you'll be on it in 3 months. It's not going to be a 3-year project, and the chance of a project surviving a 3-year project is it's difficult because there's factors that change over that 3-year period. If we could all see the pandemic coming, everybody would be on an end user compute platform and working remotely, and the problem is nobody could see it coming. The problem that you've got also is we need to simplify how the applications are managed and how the environment is managed going forwards. But what we also need to do is start to look at reducing that administration time around the application, the deliverables, the platform. If we get those things right, the customer, the end user, they will win massively. What we've got to do is be able to facilitate that journey from where they are today, potentially on older OSs, to things. So we've done a number, which there's going to be case studies coming out where you will see that they said, you know, we were stuck on an older operating system. It was an older server operating system. We've moved them to a newer operating system, and they were shocked that the newer operating system runs quicker. But we were there going, well, an application doesn't know what it's running on. An application only understands what it's been designed for. So that's what we're saying.
It's really interesting because, you know, and this forms part of the panel discussion, that, you know, the past 2 years we've perhaps got carried away with, you know, device management and how we serve the end users. But there's one thing that remains as a requirement, and that's the application. You know,
Yeah.
it's probably the most important part of the modern workplace, right?
There's a weird thing is we talk about one thing. I'll show you. I'll keep going. The problem is, why is it now important to change? It is important to change because we have caused a big problem, as in everybody that uses applications. So there's an article that was published in 2018, at the end of 2018, that actually said that it was a Microsoft blog, and it states the number of applications out there with the number of variations. Now, if we take just the number of applications with the number of variants, there's over 6 trillion apps. So we've caused a problem that we probably, unless we start to change today, this is, you know, we've got to start to change, because we will not see the end of this in our lifetime unless we start to think differently around how we manage, how we deliver, how we look after applications. It's a forgotten art, you know. The problem is industrialization is required because there's that many apps. If we were doing this manually, you know, our grandchildren will still be doing it. We've got to industrialize this. We've got to turn around and go, how do we get that number down to a usable thing? But the problem is everybody's unique. Now, I've got Office, you've got Office. My version of Office will have different plugins to your version of Office with different plugins. So these are the application variables that need to be taken into consideration when doing an application project. It's not the fact that it's Office. It's not just Office anymore. It's the other bits that feed around Office. So
yeah, that is so true. I do want to cover this though, Steve,
Yep.
because what Microsoft will tell our customers is that we have an appCURE program. We're committed to ensure your apps work on the latest version of our operating system. We will support you through this process. They've got kind of conversion tools that they'll give you.
Yep.
What is your answer to that? That anyone's thinking, yeah, but Microsoft can do this for me.
Yeah, so Microsoft can do this. So Microsoft have a very basic tool that they're covering the basics. So what we're trying to do is cover all bases. So the appCURE program is a very good program. appCURE is, the way I see it, is if you can't move your application, or it's stuck and it can't be moved and it can't be got to a point, then it's the last chance saloon. Then you go to Microsoft after, going through all of the tick boxes that, has it done this, has it done this, have you tried this, have you tried this? No, it can't. It's a crucial app, right? Then they will look at it. The problem that you've got is the time and effort it's got to that point. How crucial is that application to your company? If it's very crucial, then it's probably worth putting time and effort into getting it working. The problem is there's always another app. The way I look at it is this: is that what we're doing with appCURE is we're not just looking at Microsoft technology. We're looking at VMware technology. So we do MSIX, we do app volumes, we do MSI. We try and keep it as close. We have to do native. So if you're going down the app volumes route, you've got to be a VMware customer, which is okay. If you're not a VMware customer, you can buy app volumes separately. But if we can get these applications in this state and get over this 6 trillion apps and then look at to the future and how they can be then delivered, we're then in a better state. Applications are applications. Even if Microsoft helped with this, it's a manual process. What we're trying to do is automation and industrialization. Microsoft actually will say, if you want to do things very, very quickly, go and talk to our ecosystem partners. appCURE can do it very, very quickly. So because we try and work with everybody, and this is it. Microsoft can't say they can do. They can't say what apps they can do, what apps they can't do. The problem is that because of the number of apps out there, I don't think we'll ever get a stat that is accurate. Because once we've done 6 trillion apps, we can say 100% are done. Yeah. That's a lot of apps to get through. If we burnt through 1 million a week, we're talking a number of years. So yeah.
So I suppose it really comes back to that graph you had where you can deliver the application delivery set really, really well, but the application itself, getting to that point is the time and the effort that's involved in that, and that's where, yes, you can look at alternative tools, but getting there is going to
there isn't a silver bullet. We can't say, if you said of these 100 apps, which will go into MSIX, which will go into app volumes, which will go into MSI, until you do them, you don't know. There might be, what we say as a rule is there's an 80-20 rule. 80% will be done quick, 20% will need human interaction. That changes based on the uniqueness of your application set based on your company. Some of the unique stuff that we can do, though, is if you have no install media and you have applications that are running in production on a 24-hour production cycle, so you can't down the machinery, like we're talking to pharmaceutical companies around this, we can do running capture. So we can capture that application while it's running. We're the only company globally that can do this. And what this does is it gets over I don't have install media, the person that wrote the software is retired, the person who manages the software is retired, we're really struggling. They shouldn't worry. What they should do is say, okay, how can we help them move? And what's the best way to move for them? Because everybody wants to improve. People sitting on a Windows XP machine know it's a vulnerability. What we want to do is get them to that Windows 10 environment or that server 2019, 2022 environment. It's a simple sort of way to think about it, but the problem is moving the app, and that's always been the problem.
Yeah. So what would you say really to anyone that is transforming, shifting to this new working pattern within their business? What is it that's important to factor in with regards to applications in your eyes?
Okay, so the big thing is, because we've got an opportunity to change now, and if you're moving from older OSs to modern, what you've got is an opportunity to look at, I would call it the dynamic delivery methodology. So if you see Microsoft talking about MSIX, if you talk to VMware about our volumes, if you talk to Citrix about what they're doing with, or what they did with Unidesk and what they're now going to be doing with MSIX. Now, there is a way with all of these to now, because of the underlying OS, which is generally a Windows-based platform, whether it be server or desktop, you now have the ability to deliver the applications dynamically. So what you've got to do is look at a few things like compliance and security. Absolutely, who gets what, where, and when. That's always been the same. But the one thing I talk about quite a lot, and I think we talked to you about this, is we're calling this the hybrid UX, which is, it's the hybrid user experience. Where you work with today is important, but that can be a physical or a virtual desktop. As in, if we were working at the beach and we've got a good Wi-Fi or a good 4G, 5G signal, we'd be on a virtual desktop. You know, centralization, all the benefits around virtual desktop are there. You know, everything's remote in a safe in a data center somewhere, and we're just remoting the stuff. But there's always a requirement for a physical desktop. So if you can take the security and the compliance stuff and get your application to an in support operating system that passes Cyber Essentials, does whatever it needs to do, or a server that does the same, and then you can get access to your application so you can do the work. If we can do this now, where you can deliver this to both a virtual and a physical environment, but it's the same application set, all of a sudden we're reducing the administration time. We're getting away from the admins going, we've never had so many people, we've never had so little time. That's the worst thing you can ever hear, is the fact that they're running to keep the car running. What they should be doing is going, how do we make the car better? So what we need to do is extend beyond the Windows Virtual Desktop, because we do have this opportunity now to go, right, we can deliver X number to VDI, X number to application publishing, X to whatever methodology. But then, I need stuff on a physical machine. So we'll deliver it to your physical laptop. If it's a Mac, do it under Fusion or Parallels or whatever you need to do. And then away you go. But it's about delivering the applications so the user gets what they need. And this could be as simple as domain authenticated, not domain joined. You know, domain authenticated is still accredited. You know, you're still authorized and with the security posture to say you can have it. But this is what we need to start looking at, because what we're talking about for the future is what we call the compound desktop, which is separating the various elements. And because of what VMware, Microsoft are doing, Citrix have the capabilities, Parallels as well. All of the vendors are doing this now. What we have is the capability to actually do, at a point in time, the deliverables can be delivered to what the end user needs. So, but what we can also do is extend beyond that and say, okay, if we're looking at healthcare or people with managers and staff, they could have the stuff delivered. And if they're on a physical environment that has, limited connectivity, I think that's going away in these days if we're talking about 5G. But we can have multiple profiles on the same machine, and because of the security stance, you would only see the applications and the data that you have access to. And this is all becoming available because of the OS changes that are happening, the dynamic application delivery sort of changes that are happening. And these are going to be becoming more mainstream. And it's going to make our lives easier, but it's going to make the customer actually say, this is actually a better way to deliver it, because we're not looking at, master images that are full of bloat, and it's all separated away. Easy for admin. So
yeah, that's really, really interesting, Steve. Really comes down to making sure you don't just think about applications being successfully provisioned in this new era, but it's the life cycle, user experience, the administration time. There's so much that is an unknown that we're perhaps not thinking about, and that's really, really insightful.
This I would say the skills we've lost are understanding that we get all these apps to production, and then you have a patch Tuesday or you have a security update. You've then got to, day one is production, day two is keeping it in production. What we've got to understand then is how we continue to go forwards and look at, will an application fail if you do that patch Tuesday? Will an application fail if that security update gets done to the OS? Now, what we need to do is keep, you know, the end users happy, but also be able to reduce that administration time. So this is where we come in. We try to, you know, the automation, the administration, it's all there just purely to help the administrators. The end users never see what we do. The end users should never see what we do anyway, because that should be the back again to the, it should be the mystique of the admin. You know, the admins are miracle workers. For too long they've just been seen as a drain, but they should be seen as the miracle workers that, oh, I needed this and it got delivered to me. And yeah, and this is where we're going, especially with, you know, the cloud environments today. You know, people can get stuff very, very quickly. So
it's been really interesting, Steve. Thanks so much for going through that. I mean, Bytes are working closely with appCURE and our partners to help our customers deliver applications successfully, no matter what the environment may be. So if it is a managed desktop to a physical desktop, virtual desktop, service delivery model, whatever the setup is, we can help support the way these applications can be managed and delivered to your end users. And appCURE is something that we see is definitely, as you've seen today, something very interesting to certainly consider about how you can not only convert those applications into a modern format, but really manage them going forward, creating a good user experience, making them secure, but also making it easy for your admins to manage as part of that lifecycle management. So really, really interesting, Steve. Thank you so much for that. Really, that concludes our discussion for today. Please also take a look at our panel discussion that Steve is going to be part of as well, and we'll cover some interesting viewpoints of all the experts involved in this workplace innovation event. We'd just like to thank Steve for your time and sharing thoughts with us today.
yeah, thank you, Peter, for inviting me. Thank you.
No, really good. All of us at Bytes, thanks for listening, and we wish you well.